A ruler of 1,000,000 worlds awakens in a realm where gods settle their disputes through death. No throne, no legions, no imperium, only sand, blood, and endless war. Here, unity is not destiny but currency, paid for one shattered spine at a time. What happens when absolute conviction meets a universe built on sacred violence? The Emperor of Mankind opened his eyes to wrongness. The air tasted of copper and ash. Purple skies pulsed with sickly amber veins, like infected wounds across reality itself. No sun hung above, yet heat radiated from below, baking dunes that shimmered with distorted light. Towers of bone jutted from distant ridges, their impossible geometries bending perception until his eyes watered. This was Outworld, realm of blood hierarchies where power was measured in screams and sovereignty, 1 through 10 deaths in ritual combat. He stood alone, golden armor gleaming against desolation. The master of mankind, the anathema, opened his psychic senses and found this dimension strange, alien, governed by laws that defied the materium he had known for 40 millennia. No astronomicon guided him. No golden throne bound his withered form. He was flesh again, corporeal, standing at the height of his ancient prime, before betrayal and agony had imprisoned him. His fingers flexed within auramite gauntlets, each movement precise, perfect, undiminished by the grinding centuries of suffering. His mind reached outward, testing boundaries. What he found was chaos of a different breed, not the screaming madness of the warp, not ravenous daemons clawing at reality, but something structured, ritualized, bound by ancient compacts. This realm operated on principles of combat, on the sanctity of mortal conflict elevated to cosmic imperative. War drums echoed across the dunes. Figures emerged from heat shimmer, warriors in leather and bone, their skin marked with ritual scarring. At their center strode a titan, whose presence bent the air around him. Shao Kahn, conqueror of worlds, halted 20 paces distant. His warhammer rested against one massive shoulder, its head stained with oxidized blood from 10,000 victories. Behind him, his honor guard fanned out, weapons raised but not committed. They had learned caution in service to their master. The conqueror studied the golden figure, with practiced eyes that had measured countless opponents before delivering their final breath. He saw armor pristine beyond anything forged in Outworld's volcanic foundries. He saw a sword radiating faint luminescence. Most importantly, he saw stillness, absolute lack of fear, the posture of one who had never known defeat. "You stand in my domain," Khan's voice boomed across the basin, amplified by sorcery. "You wear the bearing of a conqueror, yet I do not know your name. Speak, so that I may inscribe it upon your tomb." The emperor regarded him with eyes that had witnessed the birth of stars and death of civilizations. When he spoke, harmonics resonated in the bones of those who heard it, psychic weight pressing against consciousness itself. "I am the emperor of mankind. I have unified 1,000,000 worlds beneath singular vision. I have broken gods and cast down their temples. Your domain is unknown to me, but your intent is transparent." Khan's laugh was thunderous. He stepped forward, warriors mirroring the movement, encircling the golden figure. "This realm has stood 10,000 years, sustained by blood of champions and screams of the conquered. Earth realm trembles at my name. Edenia lies in ruins beneath my boot. You are either fool or elder god testing me in mortal guise. I am neither." The emperor's hand moved to his sword. Minimal gesture, but every warrior tensed. They had learned to read such movements, to recognize the microsecond before violence erupts. Khan raised his free hand, forestalling his warriors. His eyes narrowed. "You claim dominion over 1,000,000 worlds. Show me." Here in Outworld, power is not decreed. It is proven. Combat is the only truth. Victory, the only law. If you are what you claim, demonstrate it in the arena. 10 warriors, 10 victories. Survive, and we speak as equals. Fall, and your bones join the towers marking my conquests. "I do not participate in gladiatorial spectacle," the emperor replied. "I end wars. I do not perpetuate them for entertainment." "Entertainment?" Khan's voice dropped to a growl. "This is Mortal Kombat. The sacred tournament that has governed the fate of realms since before your worlds drew breath. It is law. It is order, imposed upon chaos. Without it, realms would collapse into each other. The elder gods themselves decreed it. The emperor absorbed this information with machine precision. A cosmos governed by ritualized combat where sovereignty was determined through endless conflict. Barbarism, but barbarism with structure. It reminded him of warring techno-barbarian tribes on ancient Terra before he had imposed imperial truth. Then your elder gods have created a prison of violence, the emperor said. A system ensuring perpetual suffering under the guise of balance. I have seen such false equilibriums before. They serve only those who profit from bloodshed. Khan's expression darkened. No one questioned the sacred tournament. His grip tightened on his warhammer. You will learn respect. The arena or execution? Choose. The emperor drew his sword. The blade emerged with a sound like singing crystal, catching sickly light and transforming it into something pure, radiant, painful to behold. Psychic energy coiled along its length, responding to his will. I choose a third path. I will demonstrate why your system must end. He moved. The psychic blast erupted outward in a sphere of golden fire. Warriors flew backward, tumbling through air, weapons torn from grips. Khan himself staggered, his immense mass the only thing preventing him from joining his soldiers in the sand. He roared, swinging his warhammer in a devastating arc. But the emperor had closed the distance with impossible speed. The blade met hammer's haft with a sound like thunderclap. Khan felt impact reverberate through his arms, felt wood splinter. The weapon had shattered mountains. Now it fractured against a single sword stroke. The emperor twisted his wrist, redirecting force. The pommel crashed into Khan's helm with surgical precision. Metal bent, bone spurs snapped. The conqueror stumbled backward, tasting blood. The emperor did not pursue. He stood in the center of scattered warriors, sword held in perfect guard position. He had made his point. Dominance without carnage. I do not seek to rule through fear, he said. I offer something your system cannot provide. Purpose, unity, an end to pointless suffering in service of cosmic stagnation. Before Khan could respond, the air split apart. Lightning tore through reality, white-hot and precise, striking ground between them. When light faded, a figure stood in the scorched crater. He wore white and blue robes combined with armor crackling with electricity. His eyes glowed pure white, pupilless, terrible. A conical hat shadowed his features. Raiden, god of thunder, protector of Earthrealm, regarded the scene with timeless patience. Cease this conflict. Each syllable accompanied by distant rumble of storms. Khan, you have challenged an unknown entity outside tournament bounds. This violates the compact. Emperor of mankind, you stand upon ground not yours, asserting authority you have not earned. Both of you disturb the balance. The emperor turned to face this new arrival. His psychic senses analyzed immediately. Raiden was not sustained by belief or emotion like warp entities. His power was intrinsic, woven into dimensional fabric. A god by architecture rather than ascension. I recognize no balance built upon eternal warfare, the emperor replied, meeting Raiden's glowing eyes without hesitation. I have spent 10 millennia fighting to free humanity from such cycles. Your system perpetuates suffering under cosmic necessity's guise. And your system? Raiden moved closer, lightning crackling along his arms. The psychic resonance you carry speaks of empires built on conquest, worlds brought to compliance through force. How different is your unity from the dominion Khan seeks? The question struck deeper than any weapon. I impose order to end conflict, to create a future where humanity need not fight for survival. Your tournament ensures conflict never ends, that each generation must prove itself through bloodshed. You have institutionalized the very violence I seek to eradicate. You speak of eradication, Raiden countered. Yet your presence was announced by psychic shockwave rippling across 3 realms. You struck down warriors for following their master's orders. You claim moral superiority while demonstrating the same might makes right philosophy you condemn. Khan watched this exchange with fascination. Rarely did anyone challenge the Thunder God's pronouncements. The Golden Stranger's words were blasphemy, yet carried undeniable force. The Emperor's sword lowered slightly. I demonstrate power to prevent greater violence. Your tournament offers no choice. Realms are bound to participate or face absorption. Champions forced to fight or watch their worlds burn. You call this balance? I call it tyranny dressed in ritual. Then you understand nothing of the compact, Raiden said, and for the first time his voice carried weariness. Before the tournament, realms tore each other apart without restraint. Gods warred openly, destroying civilizations as collateral. The Elder Gods established Mortal Kombat to contain that violence, channel it through rules, through limits, through champions who fought for something greater. It is not perfect, but it has prevented apocalypse for 10,000 years. The Emperor absorbed these words, mind racing through calculations. He thought of the age of strife, when mankind nearly destroyed itself. He thought of chaos gods who fed on conflict. Could this tournament be similar mechanism, containing violence rather than eliminating it? Show me, he said finally. Show me, Earthrealm. Show me what your protection has built. Let me see if your system truly preserves or merely delays the inevitable. Raiden studied the golden figure with glowing eyes, seeing beyond flesh, perceiving layers of psychic might, centuries of burden. He recognized a fellow guardian, though methods differed vastly. Very well. But understand this. If you threaten Earthrealm, if you attempt to impose your will upon its people, I will stand against you. My duty is to protect them, even from those claiming benevolent intent. I would expect nothing less. Raiden raised his arms, electricity building, until it formed a crackling sphere. The portal tore open, edges burning with divine power. Through it, the Emperor glimpsed blue skies, green forests, cities built by human hands. Earthrealm. He stepped toward the portal, then paused, turning back to Kahn. The Conqueror had retrieved his warhammer, blood still dripping from beneath his damaged helm. You could have killed me, Kahn said. Not a question. I could have, the Emperor acknowledged. But death solves nothing. Unity requires that former enemies see a path forward together. Remember that when next you consider conquest. Then he stepped through, and Outworld vanished in lightning's flash. He materialized in a courtyard of polished stone, surrounded by traditional architecture. Paper lanterns hung from wooden eaves. The air smelled of incense and rain, clean in ways Outworld's atmosphere had never been. Cherry blossoms stirred in gentle breeze. This was the Wuxi Academy, hidden temple of Earthrealm's defenders. Raiden appeared beside him, portal collapsing. Figures emerged from shadows, moving with fluid grace, shifting from vigilance to combat stances. These were Earthrealm's champions. At their center walked a man radiating quiet authority. Liu Kang, chosen of Raiden, champion of Mortal Kombat. Warrior monk who had defeated Shang Tsung and Shao Kahn in sacred combat. He wore simple red and black headband, marking him as Shaolin. Flames flickered along his forearms, extension of his will. Liu Kang approached without fear, studying the golden figure with dark eyes, missing nothing. What he saw troubled him. The stranger's posture was too perfect, too controlled, like watching a statue that had learned to breathe. Lord Raiden, Liu Kang bowed respectfully, eyes never leaving the Emperor. You bring an outsider to our sanctuary, one radiating power I cannot fully measure. Should we be concerned? That depends on whether understanding can be reached. Liu Kang. This is the Emperor of mankind, ruler of 1,000,000 worlds beyond our realm, seeker of absolute unity, and challenger of our sacred system. Other champions drew closer. Johnny Cage, movie star turned genuine fighter, sunglasses reflecting lantern light. Sonya Blade, special forces officer, tactical vest loaded, posture military rigid. Jax, her commander, cybernetic arms gleaming. Kung Lao, Liu Kang's cousin, razor-edged hat held ready. The Emperor regarded each in turn, psychic perception mapping capabilities, fears, hopes. Liu Kang burned with dedication tempered by loss. Sonya carried trauma beneath professionalism. Jax radiated protective fury. Johnny masked insecurity behind humor. Kung Lao lived in shadow, striving to prove himself. They were mortal. They were flawed. They were magnificent. You have trained them well, the emperor said to Raiden. They stand ready to die for their realm. That dedication is rare, precious, worthy of respect. O's. But insufficient. You believe? Liu Kang said, voice calm but edged with challenge. We heard your words to Lord Raiden. You think our system barbaric, that we perpetuate suffering, yet we have protected Earthrealm for generations against threats you cannot imagine. I have stood against horrors that would shatter your mind to perceive, the Emperor replied. Not boasting, stating fact. I have fought demons that feed on reality itself. I have commanded armies numbering billions. I have witnessed civilizations rise and fall like tides, seen the birth of false gods, and ended their existences. Your experience is vast, warrior. Mine is incomprehensible. Okay, so we've got a god-complex situation happening, Johnny Cage said. Great. Anyone else getting major megalomaniac vibes? Cage, quiet, Sonya hissed. The Emperor turned his full attention to the actor. Johnny felt that gaze's weight like physical pressure. Those eyes held galaxies, had witnessed species extinction, empire collapse, world death. Yet behind the power, something human remained. I am not a god, the Emperor said softly. I am merely a man who has lived long enough to accumulate power beyond mortal comprehension. And in that time, I have learned one truth above all. Unity is not tyranny. It is survival. Humanity in my realm stands against forces that would devour reality itself. Without unity, without absolute coordination, we would have perished millennia ago. And what of free will? Liu Kang stepped forward, flames intensifying. What of the right to choose one's own path? You speak of unity as though it justifies any action, any sacrifice. But forced unity is indistinguishable from enslavement. I give humanity the freedom to survive, to reach its full potential, to claim the stars. Your system offers freedom to fight, to bleed, to die in endless cycles. Tell me, champion, which freedom is more valuable? The freedom to fight for what we believe in, Liu Kang replied immediately. To stand against oppression, even when the oppressor wears gold and speaks of salvation. I have faced Shao Kahn's tyranny. I have seen what happens when one being decides their will supersedes all others. You sound like him, Emperor. Different words, but the song remains the same. The comparison struck home. The Emperor felt its weight, the accusations settling into consciousness. How many times had he heard similar words from Horus before the betrayal? From Gilliman questioning his methods? From Magnus defending forbidden knowledge? Perhaps there is truth in your words, he said finally. But consider this. If I am Shao Kahn dressed in gold, what makes your Raiden different? He imps divine will, enforces rules mortals did not choose, acts as arbiter of realm sovereignty. Is that not tyranny? Or is it acceptable because you agree with his goals? Raiden's eyes flickered briefly. The question was uncomfortably perceptive. The Thunder God had imposed his will countless times, made decisions affecting millions without consent. The difference, Raiden said slowly, is that I have relinquished power when given opportunity. I have allowed mortals to determine their own fate, even when I disagreed with their choices. I am guardian, not ruler. Until someone challenges the compact, the Emperor countered. Then you enforce. Then you become ruler again, whether you claim the title or not. The courtyard fell silent. Champions exchanged glances, uncertain how to process this philosophical duel. Kung Lao stepped forward. Enough debate. Lord Raiden brought you here to demonstrate what our system has built. Let me show you what Earthrealm's warriors can do. Let me prove we need no empire, no unifying vision beyond strength of our convictions. The Emperor regarded the younger warrior with interest. Kung Lao radiated eagerness to prove himself, to step from shadow into light. That hunger could become greatness or tragedy. You wish to fight me. I wish to show you we are not weak, that we do not need your unity to stand against threats, that free warriors fighting for belief are stronger than any army marching under compulsion. Kung Lao, wait, Liu Kang began, but his cousin was already moving to courtyard center, assuming ready stance. The Emperor considered refusing. He had not come to fight these people, but he recognized the challenge for what it was, a test. Words alone would never convince warriors who lived by action's creed. He walked forward and took position facing Kung Lao. The courtyard seemed to expand around them. The emperor could have ended this instantly. A single psychic command could render Kung Lao unconscious. But that would teach nothing. Instead, he waited, observing. Kung Lao moved first, body exploding into motion. His razor hat left his hands spinning, edge catching moonlight. The emperor sidestepped with minimal movement. The hat curved mid-flight, returning to its master. Kung Lao caught it seamlessly, already closing distance. His kick came from an impossible angle. The emperor leaned backward, spine bending. The attack missed by millimeters. Kung Lao's follow-up was instant, a barrage flowing from shoulder, elbow, fist, palm. Each technique perfect, each potentially lethal. The emperor blocked, parried, redirected, never striking back. His movements economical to the point of appearing effortless. The watching champion saw the truth. Kung Lao was fighting at absolute peak, and the golden stranger was instructing him, patiently allowing a student to exhaust their arsenal before revealing the gap in skill. Kung Lao spun, hat arcing toward the emperor's legs. The emperor jumped just enough to clear the blade. As he descended, his hand moved in a casual gesture. Psychic force rippled outward, striking Kung Lao's center mass like a battering ram. The warrior flew backward, crashing into courtyard stones, sliding to a halt near Liu Kang's feet. He gasped, lungs struggling, ribs screaming. His cousin knelt beside him immediately. The emperor lowered his hand, regarding the fallen warrior without triumph. You fought well, with conviction and skill that honors your training. But you asked me to demonstrate the difference. I have shown you. Individual excellence, no matter how refined, cannot stand against coordinated power backed by millennia of strategic evolution. Liu Kang helped Kung Lao to his feet, then turned to face the emperor, flames burning bright along his entire body. Then let me show you what Earthrealm's chosen can do. Let me demonstrate why we have never fallen despite facing gods and emperors and daemons, not through unity of purpose, but through strength of spirit. Liu Kang, no. Raiden stepped forward. This escalates beyond demonstration. I must know, Liu Kang interrupted. I must understand, if this being poses threat to everything we have built, if his philosophy is truly superior, or merely might disguised as enlightenment. Grant me this, Lord Raiden. Trust my judgment. The Thunder God hesitated, then nodded slowly. Very well. But understand, Emperor. If you harm Liu Kang beyond what honor demands, I will intervene. I would harm none of you if given choice, the Emperor replied. But I will defend myself, and I will demonstrate truth through action as your champion requested. Liu Kang moved to courtyard center, assuming dragon stance. Fire coiled around him, alive, responding to his chi channeled through years of meditation and combat. He had defeated Shang Tsung with these flames. He had stood against fallen elder god Shinnok and emerged victorious. The Emperor faced him, sword now held in true guard position, stance shifting to focused readiness. His psychic presence intensified, no longer passively analyzing but actively engaged, expanding to fill the courtyard, perceiving every variable. They stood motionless, separated by 20 paces. Then Liu Kang screamed, and the world caught fire. The dragon rose from his body, not physical but visible nonetheless, a construct of pure chi. It coiled upward, serpentine, massive, eyes blazing. Liu Kang thrust both fists forward. The dragon launched itself with a roar that shattered stone. The Emperor did not flinch. He raised his free hand, psychic power forming a barrier glowing golden. The dragon struck and exploded, flames washing over the invisible wall. Heat washed backward, forcing champions to retreat. Liu Kang was already moving through the flames, closing distance with breathtaking speed. His fist emerged, wreathed in chi, aimed at the Emperor's solar plexus. The Emperor's sword deflected the blow in perfect arc. Liu Kang spun with deflection, other hand rising, palm strike targeting jaw. The Emperor swayed, minimal movement, strike missing. Then he counterattacked. The pommel crashed into Liu Kang's ribs. Not full force, but enough. The champion grunted, already pivoting, legs sweeping low. The Emperor jumped higher, and as he descended, his boot caught Liu Kang's shoulder, driving him to one knee. Liu Kang rolled backward, flames intensifying. He had faced countless opponents, adapted to every style. Yet this opponent moved as though choreographing their dance, always one step ahead. "You fight with skill that honors your realm," the Emperor said, circling. "But you fight alone. One warrior, no matter how powerful, cannot stand against coordinated assault. This is the lesson you must learn." "I am not alone," Liu Kang responded, rising. "I fight for Earthrealm, for every soul calling this place home. Their strength flows through me. And when they falter, when hope dims, what then?" Liu Kang's answer came in action. He charged, technique changing, becoming less structured, more instinctive. He had recognized the pattern. The Emperor's defenses were perfect because they were calculated. Perhaps chaos could penetrate where skill could not. His strikes came in unconventional sequences, abandoning formal technique for unpredictable fury. The Emperor adapted, his own style shifting, responding to chaos with controlled improvisation. Their movements blurred fire and gold, fist and sword. Liu Kang landed a solid blow to the Emperor's ribs, felt satisfaction as golden armor dented. The Emperor's pommel caught Liu Kang's temple, dazing him for a critical heartbeat. They separated, both breathing harder, both bloodied in small ways. Liu Kang's lip was split. The Emperor's cheek bore a thin cut where flames had bypassed defenses. The fight had escalated beyond demonstration into genuine combat. Raiden raised his hand to intervene, but Johnny caught his arm. "Wait, they're learning from each other. Look." The Thunder God paused. Cage was right. The Emperor's movements had shifted, incorporating Liu Kang's fluid adaptability. Liu Kang's strikes showed new efficiency, mimicking the Emperor's conservation of motion. They were teaching each other through violence. "Raiden," Quan Chi's voice was oil over broken glass, still playing guardian to these mortals. "I bring news." Shinnok stirs. The fallen elder god awakens, and this time no champion will stand against him. Not when we control his former allies. A revenant stepped forward, and Liu Kang's world shattered. The face was his own, but twisted, corrupted, eyes burning with netherrealm fire. This was a timeline echo, a version from Darker Path, where he had died and been enslaved. The revenant smiled, cruel recognition. "Brother, still clinging to hope, still believing righteousness will triumph. I have seen beyond such delusions. In death I found clarity." The Emperor watched with growing fury. The warp had its horrors, daemons that corrupted and enslaved. But this was different. Theft of death itself, violation of rest, imprisonment of souls in decomposing flesh, obscenity transcending mortal comprehension. "You dare." Psychic weight crashed behind each word. "You dare profane death in my presence?" Quan Chi turned attention to the golden stranger, interest flickering in crimson eyes. "And who are you to challenge Netherrealm's sovereignty? Another self-proclaimed savior?" He gestured, revenants spreading out. "Your power is impressive. Perhaps impressive enough to warrant resurrection once we kill you. Imagine a being of your might serving Shinnok's return." The Emperor did not respond with words. His psychic presence erupted outward, wave of golden fire washing across the courtyard, striking every revenant simultaneously. Undead warriors staggered, clutching heads, screaming in voices holding fragments of who they had been. The Emperor's consciousness invaded their minds, finding soul fragments still trapped, seeing chains binding them, understanding enslavement mechanism. Then he broke those chains. Psychic force like surgical scalpels cut through Quan Chi's binding rituals, severing connections, freeing imprisoned souls. Revenants collapsed, bodies crumbling to dust as animating magic dissipated. Spirits finally released. Only Revenant Liu Kang remained standing, stronger than others, more deeply bound. But even he felt assault, felt chains beginning to crack. Quan Chi's expression shifted from confidence to rage. "Impossible! Those bindings were woven over centuries, reinforced by Shinnok himself." "I have broken gods," the Emperor said, advancing with raised sword. "Your sorcery is nothing. Your netherrealm is nothing. You are nothing." The sorcerer screamed, hurling necrotic fire, bolts of green flame that could dissolve stone. The Emperor's telekinetic barrier caught them, held them suspended, compressed them into a single point, then launched them back. Quan Chi barely deflected his own attack. Flames scorching ground at his feet. Liu Kang moved, no longer fighting the Emperor but standing beside him. "Together," he said simply. The Emperor nodded, acknowledging alliance shift, pragmatic recognition that philosophical differences mattered less than immediate survival. Together, they charged as one. Fire and gold, mortal and transhuman. Separate philosophies unified by common purpose. Quan Chi summoned skeletal warriors from ground, bone constructs, animated by necrotic power. The Emperor's telekinesis shattered them wholesale. Liu Kang's flames consumed remains. The sorcerer retreated toward the reality tear, seeking escape, but Raiden descended in lightning pillar, blocking the path. "You violated Earthrealm's sanctuary. You brought Netherrealm's corruption to sacred ground. For this, you will answer." Quan Chi laughed, desperate and manic. "Answer? I serve the fallen elder god. What power have you against Shinnok's inevitable return?" "More than you imagine," the Emperor said, thrusting his hand forward. Psychic force struck Quan Chi like physical blow, lifting him from ground, holding him suspended. The sorcerer struggled, hurling every spell, but none penetrated the Emperor's will. The golden figure approached slowly, inexorably. "You enslave souls," the Emperor said quietly. "You violate death for power. You corrupt what should remain sacred. I have seen such evil in forms that would drive you to madness, and I have learned that some evils cannot be redeemed, cannot be reasoned with, can only be destroyed." The Emperor's hand closed into fist. Quan Chi screamed. His body began to compress, bones breaking, organs rupturing, necrotic power turning inward. The sorcerer's last sight was golden eyes holding no mercy, only cold certainty of absolute judgment. Then Quan Chi ceased to exist. Not dead, not banished, but erased. His essence scattered across dimensions, too dispersed to ever reform. The reality tier collapsed. The courtyard fell silent, except for soft patter of ash settling where the sorcerer had stood. Liu Kang turned to face the Emperor, expression unreadable. "You killed him. Not in combat, not in fair fight. You executed him." "I eliminated a threat," the Emperor replied without apology. He had violated death itself, enslaved souls to serve cosmic evil. Such beings cannot be allowed to persist. You call it execution. I call it necessary sanitation. And who granted you that authority? Liu Kang's voice rose. Who gave you the right to judge, to determine who lives, and who is erased from existence entirely? The same authority granting you the right to defend Earthrealm. You make life and death decisions in every battle. You choose who to save and who to sacrifice. The difference is scale, not principle. I simply possess power to enforce my judgments absolutely. The difference is restraint, Liu Kang shouted, flames erupting. The difference is recognizing that power demands limitation, that absolute authority corrupts absolutely. You speak of unity and salvation, but what I see is a being who erases those opposing him, who determines worth based solely on his own metrics. Enough. Raiden stepped between them, lightning crackling. This debate serves no purpose. Quan Chi is gone. His revenants freed. The immediate threat is ended. What remains is determining what happens next. The Emperor regarded the Thunder God steadily. What happens next is that I investigate this Shinnok, this fallen elder god commanding sorcerers. If he poses threat to existence, if his return would bring suffering on cosmic scale, then he must be prevented from rising. Shinnok is not your concern, Raiden said firmly. He is bound by ancient compact, imprisoned by the elder gods themselves. His containment is not a matter for outsiders, no matter how powerful. Then you are fools, the Emperor said bluntly. You place faith in ancient containments, in divine promises, in systems built by beings who no longer actively maintain them. I have seen such faith betrayed 1,000 times. Seals fail. Prisons break. Gods grow complacent. If Shinnok is truly dangerous, his prison must be verified, reinforced, or his threat eliminated permanently. You presume much, warning-edged Raiden's voice. You arrive in our realm. Demonstrate your power. Erase a sorcerer from existence. And now demand access to one of the Elder God's most closely guarded secrets. Why should we trust you? Why should we believe your intentions are anything other than expanding your own dominion? The emperor was silent for a long moment, gaze distant, as though seeing across vast spans of time and space. When he spoke, his voice carried genuine uncertainty, first crack in absolute conviction any had witnessed. You should not trust me. You should question my every action, doubt my every claim, verify my every statement. Because I have made mistakes before. I have trusted where I should have verified, have believed in unity where corruption festered, have pursued necessary measures that led to unforeseen catastrophe. I do not ask for blind faith. I offer capability matched with experience, but the choice to accept that offer must remain yours. The admission stunned them into silence. This being who had spoken with such absolute certainty, who had moved with unwavering purpose, now acknowledged fallibility, admitted doubt. It was perhaps the most human thing he had done since arriving. Liu Kang's flames dimmed slightly. Why did you really come here, Emperor? What do you truly seek in our realms? The Emperor turned to face the champion fully, and for the first time allowed vulnerability to show in ancient eyes. I seek to understand if there is another way. My imperium was built on necessity, forged through 10,000 years of desperate survival against forces defying mortal comprehension. I made choices that haunt me still, choices that cost me everything I valued. When I arrived here, I saw a system perpetuating violence, and I reacted from experience, from pattern recognition, from absolute certainty born of millennia fighting, to preserve humanity. He paused, looking around the courtyard, seeing damage from their battle, scorched stones, fallen cherry blossoms. But perhaps I am wrong. Perhaps your system, flawed as it is, contains wisdom mine lacks. Perhaps warriors fighting for belief rather than compulsion possess strength I have underestimated. I came seeking to impose my will, to fix what I perceived as broken. Now I wonder if I am the broken thing wielding terrible power in service of a vision that has already failed. The confession hung in air, raw and unexpected. Sonia and Jax exchanged glances. Johnny removed his sunglasses. Kung Lao lowered his hat, no longer seeing enemy but fellow warrior bearing scars predating mortal civilization. Raiden's expression softened imperceptibly. He had witnessed countless beings claim divinity, demand worship, assert absolute authority, but he had never heard one admit doubt, acknowledge fallibility, question foundational purpose. It was either masterful manipulation or genuine revelation born of conflict. If you truly seek understanding rather than dominion, the Thunder God said carefully, then I propose a test, not of combat, not of power, but of principle. Help us defend Earthrealm, not by imposing your will, not by erasing threats with absolute force, but by working within our system, respecting our methods, accepting our limitations. Show us that your unity can coexist with our freedom. Demonstrate that strength and restraint are not mutually exclusive. The Emperor considered this proposition. Everything in his nature rebelled against accepting artificial constraints, against working within systems he recognized as flawed. Efficiency demanded optimal solutions, yet he had come seeking understanding. And understanding required experiencing perspectives beyond his own. I accept, he said finally, but understand, if your system proves insufficient, if your limitations result in catastrophic failure, I will act according to my judgment. I will not watch innocents suffer in service of philosophical consistency. Fair enough, Raiden replied. And if your methods prove as tyrannical as Liu Kang fears, if your actions threaten the freedom we defend, we will stand against you regardless of power disparity. They regarded each other guardian and emperor, divine protector and transhuman architect, both carrying weight of impossible responsibility, both scarred by decisions haunting them across eons. An understanding formed between them, not agreement, not alliance, but mutual recognition of shared burden. So what happens now? Johnny Cage asked, breaking tension with deliberate levity. Do we all group hug it out, or is there like a cosmic treaty signing ceremony? Despite everything, the Emperor found himself almost smiling. The actor's humor was defensive, certainly, but it served necessary function, puncturing pretension, reminding everyone that beneath philosophical debate and cosmic stakes, They remained individuals navigating impossible situations. Now, Liu Kang said, taking charge with quiet authority, we heal, we rebuild, and we prepare for whatever comes next. Because if Shinnok truly stirs, if Netherrealm moves against us, we will need every advantage, every ally, even uncomfortable ones. He extended his hand toward the Emperor, not in submission, not in full acceptance, but in willingness to begin. The Emperor regarded the offered hand for a moment, seeing in that gesture everything his Imperium had lacked: choice, mutual respect, alliance built on shared purpose rather than enforced compliance. He clasped Liu Kang's forearm warrior to warrior and felt something shift in cosmic fabric around them. Not dramatically, not with thunderous portent, but subtle, like first crack in ice before spring thaw. Possibilities opened. Paths diverged. The future, for the first time in the Emperor's endless memory, felt genuinely uncertain. And uncertainty, he realized, was not always weakness. Sometimes it was the space where growth occurred.